Hey, what's going on, guys? I have a deck profile here. I actually went third in locals with it, or not third, fourth in locals. This is a Chainburn deck. The only reason I went third or fourth is because there was a Sky Striker guy that I actually lost my my last match to. Then I had to go into someone else, which was he was running this crazy health regen banish deck. It was fucking annoying, but I somehow pulled that win. Um, But yeah, the this is actually not a bad deck. I did go against another burn deck. He said it was meta. No, it was a stall until I fucking burned him with my traps. But overall, it was pretty fun. Um, so let's get into this deck profile. Overall, it was pretty fun. Um, so let's get into this deck profile. All right. So first, I'm running 3 copies of Lazion the Time Lord. Um, So what this monster does is when he can be normal summoned, if you control no monsters on your field, and then once your opponent okay, hold on. During your battle phase, if he attacks a monster, he takes no battle damage, either person's turn, and he can't be destroyed by card effects or by battle. So if he attacks, your opponent shuffles their whole grave into their deck, which is pretty nutty. But don't do it against Sky Strikers or anything that revolves in the graveyard or getting shit out of their deck, which is a lot of decks, but especially Sky Strikers, because it was a bad time when I first did it. I wasn't thinking. I barely used that effect in the first place, but it can be worth it if you're going like um I don't know. I would say Blue Eyes, but they do get material out of their decks, so it's not that good, but it's good. So when it comes to burn, if whenever it goes to your opponent's draw phase, he immediately takes 1,000 burn. It's for each card that they add to their hand, I believe. I am not 100% sure on this card, but it's pretty nice to run. Move that fucking glare. That didn't help. But yeah, Lazion the Time Lord running 3 copies. And then on your turn, he gets shuffled back into your deck. So he's pretty reusable, versatile, unless he gets into the graveyard. Sky Strikers do have that thing where they can control your monsters, but negate its effect. So, they're going to take it, send it to the grave, most likely for link material. But yeah, so that's 3 of those. And then I'm running 2 Absolute King Backjack. So, I was running his effect wrong when I was actually trying to use it against one of my friends. But during your opponent's turn, quick effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, excavate the top card of your deck, and if it's a normal trap, set it to your field. Otherwise, send it to the graveyard. So that effect, yes, hold off until it's in your grave, obviously. But its second effect, that if this card is sent to your graveyard, you can look at the top 3 cards from your top of your deck, place them in any order that you choose. You don't have to shuffle, of course. So you're gonna look at the top 3. If it's Dimension Wall, anything that you may have needed at that moment, definitely set it on top. And then them going into their end phase, use that quick effect to banish, set it, and then the other 2 cards you definitely want to set a trap as your first one. And then as your next one, definitely choose something that you are going to absolutely need, because you will draw that for turn. So I'm running 2 copies of that because you can brick, and not much of a use if you brick. Next, I'm running 2 Magician of Faith. Its effect, flip target 1 spell in your graveyard and add it to your hand. Pretty good, especially in this deck, because you have Pot of Desires, Cup of Ace, things like that to either get you some cards. Well, unless it's Cup of Ace, then your opponent has a chance, but it's just there to help you get cards. So I'm running 2 of those because I don't see a reason for 3. Then for 1 of, I'm running 1 Dice Jar. I don't like this card because of that little crease. But his effect, I mean, you can obviously set it, but when it's flipped, both players roll a 6-sided die. The player with the lowest result takes direct damage equal to his or her opponent's result times 500. So if you roll a 4, They rolling on a 2. They're gonna take what is it, 2,000 damage? Yeah, because you're gonna the stars, the amount of not the stars, the amount of the die times that by 500. But if you were to roll a 6, it doesn't matter what they're gonna get unless they roll a 6 too. Then they're gonna take what is it, 6,000 points direct damage. So if you can get lucky with rolling a 6, maybe bring some trick die. I'm just saying. But he's a game ender. I actually, when I was doing my locals, I ended one match. Yeah, it was my second win, and I was in a bad spot. It was actually against that one guy that I mentioned earlier with the banish life point shit. I actually beat him with this card. So it's versatile, but it can, mess you up too. So one of that. I'm running the Winged Dragon of Raw Sphere mode. I know this is like, oh, why would I run that? You kind of need monsters for a couple of the traps that do burn through either amount of monsters or their monsters, spells, and traps that they have set, and cards in their hand. But if they're getting too much on the field, you're running really low on, damage or burn damage. This will help clear their field. So that's the only reason why I'm using it. But yeah, and I'm running one Ash Blossom because I can only get one. This is the only one that I have. I would be running two because it's meta. It's a staple card. Of course, you're gonna want to run it. And for my last monster, I'm running one Droll and Lock. I would be running two, but this is the only one I have. I actually got this at a tournament pack, my very first tournament pack. When it came out, it was about 60 bucks. I was like, oh, I should definitely sell that, but then I reread its effect because I had read it wrong. But yeah, that's closed out a couple games for me too. Now going on to spells, I'm running 2 Cups of Ace, just for the +2 effect. That's pretty much all it is. Then I'm running triple Pot of Duality. It just pretty much gives you draws, which is really useful. And then you can use the Magician of Faith. They flip it. Who doesn't attack nowadays? So you flip it, add it back to your hand next turn. If you don't already have one, you get that extra plus. So that's always good. Then I'm running 2 Cards of Demise. 3 put me in a bad spot, especially when you have like an Ash or Droll and Lock in your hand. So then you kind of want to set it off. But what this card does, draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Also for the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, your opponent takes no damage during the end phase. This is pretty much if you're low on back row resources, then you can draw some more traps, hopefully set them, wait for it to go off. And then, but the downside is if whatever you have left in your hand, you have to discard it at the end of the turn, which is 50-50, but it does help. And for my 1-ups, I'm running 1 Pot of Desire, mainly because of that +2, but then it's not worth running 2 or 3 because you're going to be banishing 10 cards and you want your cards in your deck, mainly for those searches. That's the only reason why I'm running 1. I may be taking this out if I could find anything else that would, help me, but other than that. And then the 1 Chain Strike. I haven't checked recently if it was bumped up. It was limited when I last checked, but if it's semi-limited or anything like that, I would be running 2. Probably change out the Pot of Desires for a second one, but I don't think it's off yet, so that's the only reason why I'm running 1. And on the traps, I'm running triple Jar of Greed, just for that +1. And then, when you do Chain Strike, you can chain that Jar of Greed with a couple other things, and then Chain Strike. Pretty good damage. I'm running 2 Evenly Matched. They're good, but, probably should be running 1 because they do some things, but you're having a lot of back row set, so it's not much of a even match. Let's see here if I can get it. Then I'm running 3 Threatening Roars just to stall, just to save my ass pretty much. If you don't know what it does, your opponent cannot declare an attack this turn. Pretty helpful. Then I'm running triple Blazing Mirror Force. What this card does is when your opponent declares an attack, destroy as many attack position monsters your opponent controls as possible. And if you do, take damage to equal half of the combined original attack of the destroyed monsters, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the damage you took. So this can be a real game ender. So like, say they have 5 cards, you're gonna take all those cards. They're gonna get destroyed, but then once they're destroyed, you and your opponent take damage equal to half of the original attack. Could be good. It's pretty good. I closed a couple games out with that. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Then I'm running 2 Dimension Wall. I would run 3, but it only works on 1 monster. What it does is you can activate this card when your opponent declares an attack. With the monster, instead of you taking the damage, your opponent takes it instead. Which there are other cards like this, which you could definitely add. They do hurt your opponent pretty good. I know there's another one, I just don't remember. I know I have a couple copies of it, but it's a Magic Cylinder, that's what it is. Definitely, if you don't have these, Magic Cylinder is a great alternative. Then I'm running Triple Secret Barrel. What this card does is inflicts 200 damage to your opponent for each of their card in their hand or on the field. So if they have a full hand, you know, all 6 cards, and then a very set field, most likely max 5 monsters, and then a full back row, that's crazy damage right there. Because, you know, a lot of cards want to draw. And if you do use the, where are you? The Cup of Ace, they get that +2. And then that pretty much, like, if they already have the 6 hand cards, and then you give them 2, that's 8. Secret Barrel, that's pretty great damage. And then I'm running 2 Ojama Trio. It's 50-50. The only reason I'm running it is for Secret Barrel, but then I have had experience where they use the tokens to Link Summon or Exi Summon. What you're doing is setting 3 Ojama tokens on their field, but I don't have Ojama tokens, so I'm running Ancient Gear tokens. But I am going to make custom tokens. And yes, I do have an Ancient Gear deck that I would love to profile at one point. But when it comes to the tokens, they cannot tribute them, and if they are destroyed, your opponent takes 300 damage. I was told that it's not very good to run them, because, you know, they get that free Link Summon or Exi Summon. I just run it because of Secret Barrel. It does kind of help close out games, but that's completely up to you. Then I'm running 3 Secret Blast. So, this does inflict 300 damage to each of their monsters that they control. So, you know, you have that max of, that's 5, yes, 6, I guess. I usually do the 5, so it's for each monster. Right. You're going to control each card they control. If you, control. I guess that could work with spells and traps. I'm not sure because I barely use this card. But if they actually, when this card is set and they destroy, you know, MST, you inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent. So I haven't had a lot of things like that. Or, you know, if they pop your back row with the monster's effect. I haven't had things like that, but it's a pretty good alternative to that set. Then I'm running Triple Just Desserts. This one is good, and I actually got this, it's an unlimited rare? Ultra rare? I don't fucking know. But what it does is your opponent takes 500 damage for each monster they control, which is very good when, you know, you Ojama Trio them, get those 3 tokens, they already have 2 on their field, then, you know, that's, what is that, 2,500 damage, so that's pretty good burn. And my one of is I'm running Jar of Arvis. I don't know. So what it does is target 5 cards in your grave, except Jar of Arvis, which is the only reason why I'm running 1, and you shuffle them to your deck, and then you draw 1 card. You can only activate 1 of these per turn, which is, you know, okay, because you're only running 1, but, you know, you would put your spells, most of your traps back in, if you could, Blazion. Yeah, put them back in your deck, draw 1 card. Usually I like to do this at the end phase, so you get that +1 on your standby, or your draw phase. So, yeah, that is my Chainburn deck that I played at locals, got 4th with it. Shit. Other than that, yeah, that is my deck. If you guys liked it. I would not mind doing other decks. I have an Ancient Gear deck that isn't very meta, but I like to play because Ancient Gears have a place in my heart. Um, I also have a Ojama ABC deck which needs to be updated since a Soul Core is now off the ban list. You can run 3 copies, which it's a great great what is it? Great fire, I guess. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I have that. Right now I'm in the middle of making a pure Ojama deck because Ojama seemed fun to me. I don't know why. And then when I was at that locals playing, this guy had got me a cubic deck which has some of the monsters, but I'm trying to make that right now. So yeah, other than that, if you guys did enjoy this video, hit that like button. Share it with your friends. I'm trying to build up this channel because I love Yu-Gi-Oh! Who the fuck doesn't love Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're watching this, you love Yu-Gi-Oh! And I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks.